think that I even had kind of like a credibility, right? It's kind of why I was asking that. Because you really have no idea what they're doing. I think that's going to dictate what they do in the end. Do you think they're going to get off the offense? Do you think they're in the defense? Do you think they're right in the middle of the road?
I'll tell you this much. In my mock draft, as you know that I did yesterday, I had them, the first 3 picks were offense, but I really believe this season, and I'm not guessing, they are going to take a BPA approach. And so, if there are 2 guys with the same grade,
सबके सुनेदा और अपने भी सबके शिक्षाप्रद बात के सुनेला तैयार रहा.
I think they would love to have some offensive weaponry, offensive line. I think they'd love to get a big body receiver.
Harmony reveals itself through the shaping of energy, the cultivation of order. Now, the heart shall be its ministers.
I think they'd love to get a quarterback. All of that said, if a defensive star drops into 6, they're going to go deep. They want a safety. They want defensive line. So I think there's a lot of wants. And I think one thing people are going to really like about the Raiders now is the way they're going to draft before, where you see a lot of tomfoolery. It's going to be BPA plays we go with Neal. I think they would like to add some offensive weaponry, but I think they're more playing like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I gathered too, just from what they've done this offseason. So I think this is more exciting than the last couple of years. One or 2 good positions, go for that. Just make sure they have some good speed that they can do a lot with.
All right, I got 2 questions for you. Both here. Show that text.
Yes, sir.
Do they trade? Okay. I think they're going to pick 2. Just because I don't think there's going to be enough. I think there's going to be some value there. People are going to be a little nervous to pay for their hands. Okay? So if you had to pick today,
The cage.
Stay consistent with that approach. We think this concept's history of being that offensive line that spread all over the offensive line. Stay with that here.
yeah, I think they're going to end up with a line. It's offensive line.
Especially on the offensive line, anybody how about the first round and chase something like this the team that in the first round. There's always sort of like that. We figured out what always went through last year with first round 47. Not really holding a hold, but they need to come in. So it makes sense.
I agree. All right, so tell everybody what it's like.
Yes. Underscore SI. Underscore SI.
It is like a certain deal.
Two other questions on this. It's been awesome. It's great so far. Lots of great communication, thoughts, sharing ideas, different perspectives. I pride a something open-minded person. Got to know personal development is certainly an open-minded person, and there's no personal business or anything like that. People have our thoughts and our experiences, but I think the cool thing is that we share a lot of things in common as well for players who might have this organization, which is basically our mission. I just took you to our transfer this one for when I can discuss these contracts publicly, and it's sort of the voluntary part of the awesome program. So, that's very helpful. It's very good.
The thing that you remember for the year that's I'm curious what has a different flavor from one big line you said there are many guys who said, hey, you guys, if this has been around, let's say exactly about this 2025 draft.
There's a lot of good players. Yeah, I don't really want to get into the depth of each of our positions. There's some role that we want to start breaking that down. I think that's going to help. I think we just gave the draft actually the way that it looks right now. We're excited about the players at a lot of different positions, and I think the cool thing is they match up with some of where Coach Sack's doing his team to get better, and that makes us good because it feels like we can get good players across the board that are going to help our team this year and in years to come.
You got right at the bottom of the drafting with the best player available in the league, and if it comes down throughout the weekend, and you guys are graded out pretty thoroughly, and one's the need and one's in the position of being he's not going to weigh things one way or the other.
And he's definitely on this one. Look, this is the age-old question, right? Are we the best player available? And my answer would be that it's a combination of both. Yes.
Yenek hur EU MS Hatschipsu.
Places that we feel like we're not too bad at certain positions, and also we have opportunities to have really good players too. Whether we can do that player or not. My experience kind of just thinking if we start forcing players to just beat them, you end up regretting that. And you also can't have enough good players in certain positions too. So sometimes what isn't feeling like a need right now becomes a need after 1 or 2 years during the season. And thankfully, there's really good players. So, at the end of the day, we're going to kind of combine all that along with character and injury data, and we're going to have a full stack set up, and we're going to pick the best player available for the Raiders.
Hey, Steve, I'll say this on John, one of the podcast talk about the importance of understanding of that, like your position, part of the goal of going to the ground. How come you back here based on how much of that set in place based on that?
Well, I have my biases, I think, in positions that I like. I know who those do, and they actually end up matching up pretty well. Listen, I think we all have an idea of how we feel like the best build a football team, where you start, what you do, and where you go from there. But you have to take into account who you have on your team and are they going to be here, 2 or 3 years down the line. There's no easy answer to that question. I don't think there are more under those players that skill positions that touch the ball every play. You have to value that in, but if you can't protect the quarterback or affect the quarterback, that's the thing that we need. So. There's a million ways to do it, which is why I think it's so interesting that so many people enjoy it. There's a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure that it was subjective to the all the way to the pick. They're using all of the thoughts. It's very appropriate all the way to mass. Plus, with the information companies, experience, all that. So, I don't know that we do ever see all that. But if you do have it as much as possible, you do see. That's the well, I've said there is depth of commitment that we can choose. And that's the basis of the person. The character and certain competitiveness of the guys that's something that we don't cherish. So it becomes a real definite spot in that. So with every choice that we make, every decision we talk about, it always comes up. They're not going to get excited. We expect under confident mentality. Right now, we're building this team. So much of that is the character
attitude when they pick up. And so if we got all the way through after the rounds, and that's what we that's the all the decision. So as a result, they're very comfortable about the this because we know that extra baseline. So I would just add to that. It's competitiveness. It's the person, but when I think about the kind of player that we bring to this program to give to the coaches and what I've seen from coach and the staff already, there needs to be a passion and a competitive drive that is going to
Do nothing.
success. If they don't have it, then they will last year right on. I've seen it when I go. We have to demand that. Otherwise, we're not going to knock out the scouts. There's no part very well for setting them up to failure. Because I don't think it's fair to ask coach on the staff to hold competitiveness out of them. They're going to get it, exponentially growing. Actually, did get competitive the other day at 5. I think there is an instinct and a nuance to it for sure, and every year I go through the draft process, the combine interviews, the player interviews, the top 30s, and all of that. I feel more convicted and confident in knowing who that person is sitting across. It's only a 15 or 20 minute meeting, and again, I've talked about before, an example where I felt like we got really good was we matched the quality tape up with the quality person. And whether or not some people think that we drafted guys a little bit too high, those are the guys that we built that program on, and I think it really is going to stand up here too. Because we're demanding, and Coach just talked about it, and we will be our favorite will be the kind of person we're bringing to this organization, from coaches to scouts to players. And I think we're silly if we don't demand that there's a high level of commitment to football, and I think a good person to go along with that. So I don't think it's too hard to ask us. You just got to feel where to look.
Can you walk me through Raiders on the back end position as you did a couple of process? We're talking about the top 30 visits, kind of the things that you did outside of the building in terms of engaging, doing top off, things like that. It's kind of important to kind of also gauge someone's personality, who you're drafting, but also gauge
The spoken word conquers all thought,
I would say that,
but the written
the more
word
situations
commands
we
it.
put guys in, the more opportunity we have to see them in different lights, is high value. And so, we try to be real creative with that thought while they were here, and any questions that we ask, digging, at that. So just get them up, get going. Sometimes we get people that are not used to that much. Sometimes we feel better and the atmosphere really get comfortable with them for free. We get going for it. So it's get the answer. We don't want to get too big. I'm going to be careful about talking about any specific players. Overall, we just saw Saquon Barkley just change the Eagles in 1 year, and now they got a great team around him. It was having a lead player, and I think when you sit there and sit, the idea is to have a good player for every position. I don't try to be out to do something. There's times in games where there's women that are having the best pick in the league too, right? In that moment, so. There's certain ways to build a team. I don't know where we got to a place where we can say search really time there, so it's hard for me to get away from. Have you guys noticed any kind of a leader in the players and people are talking about how these kids have some time to get already been paid? Have you guys picked up on that? If it's made it easier or harder to engage some of the things? I would say it's a little weird looking for that factor. Trying to find the factor if it does exist. It's only natural to think that it would change. That's not a thing. It's the next thing. Offers the last stuff. Doesn't happen. It's not part of the equation.
to stay in school because they know they get paid, that senior year pretty well, and then they get a chance to go to the, that's just listen for better right now. So we have to be very open to figure this out. See the fact is, I don't really like it. These guys, young kids coming up, they have to feel posted, but it's critical, so they do. So we'll find out the time. But we're certain that people have about told to people who don't try to listen to them. It's part of it's exactly like the way that says, they're not in the direction. It's kind of like how do you approach those conversations? Yeah, absolutely. Combinations of flexibilities. Well, with the 56, we had to figure out 5 different combinations of players to go. Our department got under and now Ben and Jordy's doing a great job of that visits and highly work out who's at pro days to try to figure out kind of the where these teams might go to help you prepare. But at the same time, that's a lot of wasted energy to me because at the end of the day, we have no idea what we're going to do. We have a sense that we're guessing, and I think our focus, Coach and I's focus, is more on the Raiders and like, are we comfortable with the stack of players that are there at 6? Would we trade out? Would we trade up? Would we just stay and pick? What does that look like? Like if there's 1 or 2 guys there that we love, we'll probably stay and pick. If there's a guy that falls that we don't expect to fall, maybe we go get him. Or maybe we've got a group of players we feel comfortable with a little bit further back. And so we'd love to gather more trade assets and have more darts to throw dart for, so to speak. Yeah, no. So again, we're focused really on us. We got no control and we better be ready to pick. Remain open-minded, and anything that helps us at that position in particular is going to be, up for consideration. You guys have all tracked, you guys have all done your investigation reels well enough to know that we brought some quarterbacks in, and that wasn't by accident, by any means. And we remain open to the most important position in sports to get right. And we're super excited to have you here, and we expect to be here for a while, but we can't have to of those guys.
As I've done, just to that point, let's talk a little bit about other things that you ABC has flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to see the team building aspect, and we try to hit certain spots where we felt like maybe we were a little bit light with good value contracts. We had great conversations. I don't know if and I hope and I think it alleviated takes that someone can feel more convicted to just add the best player for the Raiders and not just fill holes. That doesn't mean that have some that we need to get better, we certainly do. That will change year to year, obviously, like that. But it seems to be an exercise.
He was the first.
We can get these guys here, maybe draft.
So, here we meet. And I gotta ask.
We've been excited about the guys who've been here. I don't know. Whatever the team financial serve will be, and just makes me why dollars.
Sticking with the one, do you have a assistant coaches in there on the scouts that from maybe how do you set your role?
Obviously, I like having these guys. They put in so much work throughout the year. I've been places where the group isn't in there, and it can be tough on morale. So it's a smaller group, and I think English was something that had a lot of people in there too. But it's a working environment too, so we have to be cognizant of the fact that there's got to be a lot of communication. Yeah, just say it's not a party. Probably not as exciting as everybody thinks it might be. Obviously, when we started first being on the block, there's kind of a much excited to fall through. and I will sit next to each other and coordinate all the way through.
Awesome, Jared. Raiders.com. John, after decades of painting, how do you see the drivers?
Just 2 decades. Oh, that's not what
I do not.
How excited are you to be here?
I mean, I'd be lying if I could say this wasn't a dream come true. It certainly is, but the gravity of getting things right and having a great process and making sure that we communicate is really more than anything else. And, I find myself being a team player. I don't think it's about me at all. This is about the Raiders and the group of us, people upstairs that want the best football team together for Raider Nation and Mark Davis and all the community. And that's really my focal point. And added bonus to have, Coach Higgins, who's held in this for a long time, and I want to live in Travis and Seattle for a year. Almost decade. So anyways, knowledge, and I'm just excited for the opportunity for the group of us upstairs. There's so many people that have put so much work in, and I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge all of that. But that's really my goal.
Yeah, there's no science. This is the program. So, I'm sure that attitude that he likes the toppers of the spring. The stuff he's doing up through this process. And this year, that's what we're getting together, those people to let it, I think it's because of the philosophical group, so connected. Very much looking for us together to do this. And so that's when we are really good anytime I felt like, gosh, there was somebody else over here.
Sense and the appetite behind you to do it on my own.
Well,
Without giving it.
yeah, well, let's take a pick this guy, otherwise we love that right now. I mean, we'll consider all options. I love, we've got 9 picks, which is great. I'd be maybe more motivated. We have 4, we have 9, but if somebody wants to come off of range, we're going to consider everything too, and we can certainly be doing that. You're asking the point. It's all problems.
Along those lines, for the viewers, you kind of get a sense, if you start, sorry. But
No, it's okay. You can jump over. All right, you good?
along the same line, but you get the sense of very strong. You guys, that's there a lot of people. You know what, and then the other part of this just is the general manager communicating and staff communicating, like, how does that work? How does it grab that and put the whole team, and if you're actually on the phone, it's like a process.
I have the sense that maybe I think we talk about two people more like there could be some action out there. But listen, let me just go through the one of the certainly started and everything else. We all you guys probably know. So the draft committee is wildly and over squad that loves it, and the staffs that are dynamic and navigate the changing landscape of Massachusetts do this. And it's our first go around together, but I feel confident in the process. I'm confident that people are confident in this.
He was the
We've got a lot of people that they know what's expected, they know how to communicate the trade chart value, the real-time value of trade, it's inspired by business sellers market. I mean, we're going to get this process more ironed out as we go forward, but we got to trade these stores and put that over part of the technologies they have and the thought process that go into it. I'm trying to steer as many great calls as other people, so I sit there and think and communicate with them, but the phone rings and somebody wants the big and wants to come out. You're going to call, so we'll just take all.
Really less than John's decade, I'm just curious, what is the biggest lesson you've learned or maybe thinking about the draft that's maybe you changed your opinion on it?
There is another world.
The draft is a culmination of years and years of information gathering process. These next couple of days, I think we feel pretty good about players who are out for it. Yourselves, team members, we the players that we consider certain spots. But I think the thing that we want to play for is some of the strategy. Who would use a staying fit? Who would move out for the premium? Who we will move out for, just let's get out. We feel like the value is further on the board. I can't predict all those different things, but I think we've got kind of a set idea of how you want to do it. Then you usually eliminate some mistakes and kind of capitalize on some of the special quality moves there. I always think back to the trade we traded out 7, 12 bills, and our strategy we had Puget at 7, and we had hired everything out there. It turns out we should have stuck with the cash out first. We ended up agreeing to look up okay, but we ended up figuring out betting the whole thing out at that time, realizing the speed of the trade that we managed to do that. And there's probably a team coming for a quarterback ready to talk about all the scenarios. So 7 to 12 got 2 second-round picks that turned into James Stewart and Carl Diggs. So that strategy, and as long as Coach and I are like rock center, it doesn't matter who the pick. It doesn't matter what we have to do. Let's ride back on this and see what we can do with that.
I don't think that we would actually know on a draft class, but there are things that you can in the draft as well. But yeah, that was feels like we did a really good job. If we did accomplish what we wanted to get.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's like we have thoughts right now. Like to get done and close in to bang, feeling really good about it. We're going to be happy with the process. But then so we're at that, but we'll celebrate what happens and we'll be excited about it. The process is such a challenge. It's so much fun for us to do football. We're really excited to see that. We get the right now.
Hello, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, the Las Vegas Raiders beat writer on SI and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. Welcome to my 8th, that's right, my 8th mock draft. And super excited about this one. There'll be one more before the draft, potentially, but this is for sure. We're 1 week out. And so I'm going to dig in real quick, real deep, explain to you how my mock drafts work, and then get right into it. We have a new number 1, a new number 2, a new number 3, a new number 4, a new number 5, and a new number 6. Wow. We've got trades. I'm going to talk to you about a couple of those. Also, I think there could be 2 Raider trades between now and at some point in the draft. Not predicting it, but saying there could. I know that there are players that people have interest in. I think there are 2 that could be moved. But anyways, we'll get into all of that in a minute. So there are 5 spaces ahead of the Raiders right now as the draft sits. So I asked 5 friends of mine who are NFL executives who are not picking. Now, normally, the Raiders will prove to be lower down the draft order. I'm going to have to ask some friends of mine who are picking ahead of the Raiders to pick. But just so you know, in the future, I don't ever let them pick for their team. It just protects them, even though I don't think they would give anything away, because they know they're going to make educated guesses, and they're just careful to do that. But I have 5 people representing the 5 teams ahead, not representing the 5 teams ahead of the Raiders, and they make their picks. So for everyone they have going number 1 overall, it's worth 5 points. For everyone that they have going 2 overall is worth 4, and number 5 is worth 1. I then take the 5 players with the most points and eliminate them from the board and have the Raiders. Then they tell me, these 5 guys are off the board. Who do you think the Raiders pick based on where you know their scouts have been? No spy tech, you know the needs of the Raiders. What are you thinking the Raiders will do? Now, I got a really interesting email from Carl B. This was after last week's mock. He said, Hondo, I have a question. How can other guys pick for where they think teams or what teams are going to do? Would love the insight here. And so, Carl B., let me explain. Teams are constantly scouting other teams' needs, and they have boards on every other team. That way, as they're looking ahead, they say, yeah, I don't really see a team there that's going to pick a running back or a team there that's going to pick a tight end, whatever. Or they may say, you know, this is a BPA team, best player available, they're going to take this guy. However that works, that's how that all unfolds. So to start it off, I have the Raiders trading number 6 with New Orleans, and so they pick up New Orleans' first and their second round pick. So I had these 5 gentlemen do the 8 picks. So this time I numbered them 1 through 8. Number 1 was worth 8 points. Number 8 was worth 1 point. And these are the players who, when the Raiders pick, were off the board. Now, every time I get criticism for this, and I'm not making the picks, just tell me. These are the gentlemen whose names were off the board when the Raiders picked at 9. Cam Ward, Mason Graham, Travis Hunter, Will Campbell, Abdul Carter, Will Johnson, Aston GT, and Jackson Dart. In case you're wondering, 3 of the 5 men had New Orleans taking Jackson Dart. They think the interest allegedly in Shador is false. They don't believe that that's realistic. In fact, one of them said to me, and I'll read you what he said. He said, I think the alleged interest in Shador by New Orleans is media people pushing the narrative that they think Shador is that high of a pick, and don't think that's universally the opinion around the NFL. We're going to find out. But all of them talked about New Orleans has done a lot of time with Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart kind of fits a Kellen Moore, Doug Neismeyer type approach. So they all had Jackson Dart off the board at 9. Now, let me just tell you, I've been telling you since last year's draft that Jackson was a number 1 rank. He's maintained it, but everybody I know ends up in the second half of the draft. But if you're New Orleans, and you got to have a quarterback, you think the second best was Jackson Dart, that's what you have to do, because there's a ton of interest around Jackson. A ton of interest. So, first round, pick number 9, Raiders' first pick. I have them going with the massive offensive tackle from Missouri, Armand Lambout. Now, this guy is a stud. A lot of teams, I say a lot, that's I don't want to be misconstrued. About 70% of the teams that I talk to have Will Campbell as number 1. And about 30% have Lambout. Now, remember last year, I think Lambout is in play mode where he comes in instantly as a starting right tackle. I will just tell you this. No team has Will and Lambout rated as high as Alt and Talise Fawaka, meaning can't miss guys. And both played that way. The 3 dudes from last year played that way. These guys only have 1 person with a dude status. That's Abdul Carter. There's a couple other guys that are close, but they don't meet that 75% of the teams I talk to say it, so I don't put them in there. But there's 3, 4 that are super close to it. I'll get into those probably not today, but before the draft. Now,
Harmony reveals itself through the shaping of energy, the cultivation of order. Now, the Han shall be its ministers.
But like one of them said, there's two quarterbacks going in the top 8 in this equation who should be first-round guys, but not top 8 guys. Well, guys, exact words to me were, pull it up. Tennessee is who Tennessee is. How many first-round quarterbacks did they get to fail on? Okay, Cam Ward's the best one in this class. But you're going to let Abdul Carter go and several of these other guys? And if Cam doesn't pan out, based on your track record, he won't. You're going to be kicking yourself again. See you next year in the top 10, Tennessee. Brutal. Brutal. But that's why the Browns are the Browns. I think that the Patriots are an anomaly. With Jacksonville, we certainly understand why Jacksonville's there. So anyways, they got them taking Armand Membu, and I don't think there is any frustration. The Raiders would have been happy getting him at 6. They like Membu. And so to get him at 9, you just get him a little bit cheaper. And you pick up an additional second rounder. There'd be a lot of celebrating in Henderson if John Spytek gets to call in a card and says, go get me Membu from Missouri. Be a great thing. And then, if you missed it on yesterday's podcast, I previously discussed, that's not a slam on DJ Glaze. Not in the least bit. In fact, if you're DJ Glaze, I think you're sitting here pretty happy. Now, Membu can play both. He just hasn't been asked. So, if Bolton were to get injured, Membu can slide over there. So, Membu's a solid pick. May not be sexy to some of you that want a Travis Hunter. And please, all the people email me about
Carolus.
But it may not be a sexy pick, but it's a winner's pick. Membu's a great pick. Would love that pick. Then you come in at number 2. At their 37th pick, I have the Raiders taking Quinshawn Judkins. First round grade. Running back. Ohio State. He knows the chip system. Chip knows him. He knows what he can do. He knows he can do. He knows it. And he makes it happen. So he goes and bam, you now got Quinshawn Judkins. There's your running game setup right there.
The caged bird.
At the New Orleans pick, which is number 40 in the second round, I got the Raiders a little surprise pick here. Guy falls a little bit. And I think he's going to fall because of bad drafting. But you go out and get Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver at Iowa State. A major pickup. Another guy, all of my guys have him with a first rounder. And you're getting him at 40. Because of the plethora of bad. So you're sitting here and you're the Raiders. And you get 3 picks in the first 2 rounds. And they're all Armand Membu. How do you do? That guy's a beast, man. Love him. Quinshawn Judkins. That guy's got vision. And what's amazing about it is he's not really a vision runner. You don't see him run away from a ton of people. He just makes some great cuts at the right time. If he has to, he'll go over. It's like a little missile, like a heat seek, like a Patriot missile. bam! Just explode like howitzer. Love Chuck is, man. He is proof. Don't judge a book by the cover. Let me tell you. Some of the best presidents are little. He's not a big fella, but he is tough. That guy's got toughness. You're going to be in a back alley, somebody's going to try to jump you. You want Quinshon Junkins with you, and he'll be like, hold on to my belt, I'm pulling you out of here. He's a fighter, scrapper. I love that guy. He plays running back like you'd expect I gotta remember the guy's name. Help me. He just plays linebacker like a Dick Butkus. Just good. Love that guy. So then you go get Jaden Higgins. Big kid, big. He'll play off of Jacoby. He's going to be a threat in the red zone and play off of Brock. And then Trey Tucker. Oh, man. Good night, Irene. You go out there and you get to pick up a Jaden Higgins. Merry Christmas to you. Then in the third round, pick 68. You got the Raiders picking up a guy who's going to drop a teeny bit. And I love this guy. Carson Schlesinger, linebacker out of UCLA. Like this kid. I like this kid a lot. He's got some pass coverage ability, that ability to he can bring it. He's going to step up in the run game. He's a guy that you go sign White, but he's a guy that's going to push a little bit. And I know the Raiders are going to give White every opportunity to resurrect, do things that the Raiders believe he can do, and I think he can also. But you bring in this kid from UCLA, and he's going to stop on a dime and give you 9 cents change. Put the film in on him. Watch the way. Years ago, I learned this, and I learned it from Chris Spielman. You guys may remember the Ohio State linebacker was a legend for the Detroit Lions. Love Chris. What a better human than a football player, and the guy was a stud football player. Cannot believe he's not a GM in the NFL. Cannot believe it. He interviewed, I think, this year. For some reason, I think it was the Browns, but I may be wrong there. But he interviewed, maybe it was the Jets, I don't remember. It didn't get the job, and I was flabbergasted.
Oh.
Chris Spielman, stud alert. And Chris taught me about you don't follow running back's eyes, you don't follow his shoulders, you don't follow his feet.
Je suis Napoléon.
Same way
sur cette terre pour déterminer le sort du monde.
Follow guys' hips. Hips don't lie. Your body can juke, your hips don't. Feet can juke, your hips don't. Watch the hips. It was a great lesson. But Schlesinger does it. You can see him dropping just because of the bad fit. Then I got the Raiders with a trade with the LA Rams and picking up pick 90.
Simplement, citoyen Lafayette, s'il vous plaît.
This will be their fifth pick in the first 3 rounds. Who did they go get? Andrew Akuba, the safety from Texas. The quintessential safety that Patrick Graham loves. All the physical tools, all the brains. Akuba. Love this. You put on the film of Akuba. I was watching his film last night after I got this mock draft. And I wanted to just go watch film. And I mean, 2 hours later, I'm texting some of my buddies, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this guy. I'll tell you the thing that really stood out, go watch his film, was his ability to identify and accelerate. You know who he reminds me of a lot? He's young, so he's not there yet maturity-wise, when I say maturity, I'm not talking about mental maturity, I'm just talking about football at the next level. He's got a lot of Marcus Epps with a little bit more athleticism. I like this kid. I like some Andrew Makuba. Raiders get him picked 90 in the third round. Not really a steal. That's where he should go. But he's a guy that I'd be stunned if he isn't starting at some point next year.
Do nothing.
I got the Raiders going Dennis Burke, quarterback, the Ohio State. I like this game. And it's a deep draft. That's important. This were another draft. You would see Burke, mid-second, third-round guy. Just because of the depth of this draft, I got Burke slide and going to the Raiders. Round 4, pick 108, Denzel Burke, cornerback, the Ohio State.
Close to the western summit.
He's tough. He plays. That guy ain't afraid to mix it up. Don't tell him defensive backs don't like to put their nose on the football. Don't tell him.
Đêm nay gọi số mát trên đỉnh Fansiban.
He'll jump in there now. I'm not claiming he plays like a linebacker, because he doesn't. But he's tough. He's a coverage fanatic. He fits Patrick Graham. Again, I'm not claiming he's a great tackle, but he's not afraid to mix it up, which is what you're looking for. And he's a coverage guy. He's going to be a lockdown. And this is a guy, Patrick Graham wants his corners living on an island, man. So you're going to grab Denzel Burke and put him on Burke Island. Say, Merry Christmas. So grab your guy and lock him down. He's tough. He's good. If you get a chance, watch some film on him. Watch the weights. A good defensive back understands they break pass interference 90% with these 10 things right here. Your fingers and I guess 12 count your hand. And he'll go up in the air and use his rear end to move people. And he breaks his eyes back. That's where a lot of guys in coverage.
Harmony reveals itself through the shaping of energy, the cultivation of order. Now, the Han shall be its ministers.
Schools, especially in college, will train guys. Watch the wide receiver's eyes. So good wide receivers can bait you into a PI. And not Denzel Burke. Not Denzel Burke, baby. He'll look in there. He's going to scrap you. And he's going to watch the ball too. Why? Because he's a coverage guy. He's like, remember I told you about Hakeem Olajuwon when he got to the University of Houston? Had somebody correct me the other day when I mentioned him on the podcast. They go, Hondo, you're wrong. He played for the Houston Rockets. I said, no, you're wrong. He did play for the Houston Rockets, but he was a Houston Cougar. How do I know? As a young kid, high school, and I had his jersey. And I knew Hakeem. Well, I didn't know it, but I rooted for Hakeem before he had the age when he was Hakeem Olajuwon. In fact, I remember there were no internet at the time, so I ordered his jersey. The guy goes, "Do you know how to spell his last name?" I'm looking him up. I said, "Yes, Olajuwon, Olajuwon." And that's back when you bought the jerseys, and then they had to put the names up. That guy, and so when
So